Anti-government protests have escalated in Sri Lanka, with protesters storming the president's house in Colombo. Now, police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse the protesters, but the crowds broke barricades and entered the president's house. And those are those visuals on your screen where you can see the crowd really storming into the president's house. And Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for an urgent meeting of party leaders to discuss the present situation. Now, the local media is reporting that the Prime Minister has also requested the Speaker to summon Parliament. And meanwhile, legendary cricketer Jayasuriya has joined the protests demanding President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's resignation. 16 SLPP MPs have also requested the President to quit immediately. And anti-government protests have escalated in Sri Lanka, with protesters storming the president's house in Colombo. Police has used water cannons to disperse the protesters, but the crowds broke barricades and entered the president's house. Now, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for an urgent meeting of party leaders to discuss the present situation. The local media is reporting that the Prime Minister has also requested the Speaker to summon Parliament. And meanwhile, legendary cricketer Jayasuriya has joined the protests demanding President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's resignation. 16 SLPP MPs have also requested the President to quit immediately. All right, we are going straight across to Suresh Kumar, who is joining us who will be bringing us more details on the situation in Sri Lanka. If you could please take us through all the details of the protests that are currently taking place. What has really triggered this kind of a move by the protesters to really storm into the president's house? All right, we seem to have lost that line with Suresh Kumar. Yes, the situation in Sri Lanka is quite dire, and we did learn today that the protesters barged into the President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's residence. And we also are learning that the President has in fact fled his residence. And local media reports suggest that 21 people have in fact been injured in those protests. And the Prime Minister has called for an urgent meeting. 16 SLPP MPs have also requested the President to quit immediately. And those are those very dramatic visuals on your screen, where you can see where the protesters, police really trying to bring the situation under control. And Mr. Suresh Kumar is back with us on the broadcast. If you could please help us understand the situation which is unfolding in Sri Lanka. A really massive, move by the protesters to really barge into the house of the president.
Good evening. The protesters came in Colombo from several parts of Sri Lanka from yesterday onwards. Today they entered the president's official house and the president's secretariat. People are rounded there from morning. Armed forces are guard, but now people are overtook everything and they entered the president's house and the president's secretariat. And people are coming from all over the Sri Lanka. People are coming from the trains, bus, by walk, and everywhere. Now I am in Gold Pace. Nearly over 500,000 people are here. For that time of the pressure came to people's last several years. They decided to come to Colombo and against this government for last 3 months. Today's the 90th day for the protest. People are really very happy right now. They have only one slogan, that is "Go home, Gota." Go home, Gota.
Right.
That is everywhere.
Right. Mr. Kumar, we are also learning that about 21 people have been injured. If you could please confirm that to us.
It is not 21, it is confirmed 33. 2 was critical. All of them was admitted in Colombo National Hospital. 2 of them are really critical, and altogether 31 people.
All right. If you could please stay on with us, we are being joined by Harsha De Silva, who is an MP from Sri Lanka. Thank you, Mr. Silva, for joining us on the broadcast. How are you really viewing these developments? Did you see this coming? Did you see that the protesters really entering the residence of the presidents? Did you see this coming?
In fact, we didn't expect it to happen so swiftly. I was also there with among the tens of thousands of protesters. We had thought it would be a few days of wait, but the army stood down and they kept firing tear gas and water cannon, but the protesters just kept at it. And they breached the barricades and got into the president's house.
Right.
Obviously, he wasn't there. Yes.
Right. Mr. Silva, what about the forces? Were they not able to control these protesters?
No, they stood down. They did attempt to hold them. They attempted to hold the barricades, but I don't think they used live ammunition at all. I don't know. I don't think so. The protesters who were assaulted or were hurt, beaten up, I think was, the police trying to hold on to their positions.
Mr. Silva, right, Mr. Silva. As far as the common man is concerned in Sri Lanka, what sort of relief and when will they get relief?
Well, I mean, the people of Sri Lanka has been asking Gota to go home for the last so many months. People have been protesting outside his office for months now, and this is what they wanted. So they have now occupied the president's official residence, but we don't know where he is. He has to resign, and Prime Minister has called for an all-party leaders meeting with the Speaker as soon as possible. And we shall see how we're going to take this forward, because this is completely unprecedented. So we are trying to work within the Constitution and find a solution to this crisis.
Mr. Silva, what sort of solutions are you really weighing? What options are you really weighing?
Well, there are no other options but for Gotabaya to now go home. He has to resign and leave. And then the Constitution provides for the Prime Minister to act in the office of the President for 30 days, within which time a person from among the 225 MPs would be elected by secret ballot to serve out the rest of the term.
Right.
So that is where we are.
Right, Mr. Silva. If even if Mr. Gotabaya really resigns, who do you think is the next best contender for that top post?
Well, I mean, the leader of opposition obviously has to be the contender for the top post.
Right.
And he's just been admitted to hospital with corona.
Right.
and influenza, so that's what we think should be the next step.
Right, Mr. Silva. Do you think he will be able to bring the situation under control if at all he comes to power?
Yes, I don't think this is going to, spiral out of control, because what people wanted was Gotabaya to go, and once that happens in the next, hopefully, hours, then I don't think there is going to be any more violence. People would find a way out. Yeah.
Right, Mr. Silva. So you think just by that mere resignation, the problem will be solved?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
So you think just by Mr. Gotabaya resigning, the situation, the economic conditions will get resolved?
Well, I mean, we'll have to form a interim all-party government, and then in that government, we'll really need to figure out what we need to do. We have to proceed with the IMF program, the debt restructuring. Massive reforms need to be done. So a lot of work ahead.
Right.
But we need to get rid of these people first.
Right, Mr. Silva. Mr. Silva, even in the interim, where do the people really go, given the prices are skyrocketing?
Yes, we have to bring it under some sort of control. I mean, these people have ruined Sri Lanka, so we have to bring it under control.
Right,
We have to do that.
Right, Mr. Silva. So what will you do to bring those prices under control?
Well, look, I'm heading the all-party group on the economic matters. We are trying to agree on a common minimum program for the interim government. And we will have to do a lot of hard work in the weeks and months ahead to bring this situation under control. It's not going to be easy.
Right, Mr. Silva. Quite a dire situation unfolding there in Sri Lanka. Thank you so much for joining us in the broadcast and sharing your views.